I'm Boston 25 Chief Meteorologist Sherry Spearn. Here's the latest Boston 25 weather on Radio 830 WCRN. You're going to see increasing clouds during the afternoon with highs in the mid and upper 80s. Humidity levels are going to be moderate for today, but we do have the chance for showers popping up anytime from mid-afternoon and beyond, with the bulk of our rain expected during the evening hours. We're going to keep some scattered showers going at times on Friday, as well as temperatures drop back into the 70s for highs. I'm Chief Meteorologist Sherry Spearn, News here Boston 25, live from Morning 5 weekdays on AM 830 WCRN.
Information central to your day from Radio Central, 830 WCRN.
Buy new furniture, design your new furniture.
Stand by.
Visit O'Shea's Furniture in Sutton and you will be able to work with the staff to design your furniture from the frame up to include the color and style of the furniture. O'Shea's works with Amish furniture makers and they will build your furniture to your desire with quality craftsmanship and quality materials, and the price is competitive. Check them out online or stop into their showroom on 113 Singletary Ave, Sutton. You won't be sorry you did.
The best Italian cuisine served by some of the nicest folks you'll ever meet is at Ziti's Italian Trattoria. It's fine Italian cooking at the Speedway Shopping Center, 290 Turnpike Road in Westboro. It's like sitting down with your family for an authentic home-cooked Italian meal. From intimate dinners to catering for events of all sizes. From pizzas and calzones to classic Italian dinners. Every meal at Ziti's is one you'll remember. Head on down to Ziti's, 290 Turnpike Road in Westboro.
All right, folks. All right.
Welcome back here.
Good afternoon. Well, it's still morning, technically morning, so we'll say that. Good morning, and welcome to the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN, AM 830 Radio Central. Apologies, a little technical difficulty on the first half of the show, but let's pick it up and move right along. Call in line, of course. We'll do housekeeping. Call in line is 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. That's how you get into the studio.
Joe Shortsleeve on the line.
And we're waiting for Brian Shortsleeve. He should be joining us. And he was going to join us at 11. So my apologies to that. And Brian, I reached out to his office. So hopefully he'll join us.
He's on the line.
Oh, he is on the line. Fantastic. Okay. My bad. Let me welcome into the conversation Brian Shortsleeve. Brian is joining us this morning. He's the Republican candidate for governor of Massachusetts. Brian is a Marine Corps veteran, a businessman, a former senior MBTA executive who was brought into the Baker administration during the effort to turn the T around. How many years have we heard that? He's now running for the Republican nomination for governor with primary. It's coming up this Tuesday, the 1st. And this week, Brian rolled out what he's calling the 444 competitiveness plan, a major proposal to cut taxes. He says he'll make Massachusetts affordable and competitive again. Brian Shortsleeve, welcome to the Joe Mangiacotti Show. Thank you, and apologize for the late start.
Well, Joe, it's great to be on with you and your listeners. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Brian Shortsleeve. I am a proud Marine. I'm a successful entrepreneur. I'm a proven government reformer. And most importantly, I am the father of 3 teenage boys.
Wow. That's that in itself, that's competitive or competitive pay, right? Raising 4 teenage boys, man. Good for you. Brian.
Well, I want those boys to be living in Massachusetts when they get out of college and come home. And the truth is, in Massachusetts today, under Maura Healey, we have a tax nightmare and an affordability crisis. Young people are leaving the state at a rapid clip. There's 100 people a day walking out the door. So I've put forth a bold plan to turn things around here, cut taxes, cut fees, audit state government, give those savings back to taxpayers, so we can get the Massachusetts private sector economy growing again.
Sure. Let's break down, and we'll get to some background and other, platform stuff. But I do want to concentrate on this because you're just kind of rolling it out. 444. Break down what you want to move to 4%. I know you're going to leave the sales tax. You want to drop that down to 5, right? For what are we, 6.25 or something right now? You want to
That's
drop
right.
that to 5. Explain to the listeners what you're talking about with 444.
Well, Massachusetts has a competitiveness problem. People are leaving the state. Big businesses are leaving the state. Small businesses are leaving the state. My 444 plan is a plan to fix that. 4% income tax, 4% corporate tax, 4% capital gains tax. That provides immediate relief for individuals, for middle-class families, also immediate relief for small businesses. Joe, I've spent my career in the private sector helping small businesses thrive and grow. In Massachusetts, 50% of the people in this state work for smaller firms, and most small companies pay taxes at the individual rate. So moving the individual rate from 5% to 4% enables small businesses to invest, to grow, and to hire. Moving the corporate rate to 4% will make Massachusetts competitive again. This will send a message nationally that Massachusetts is open for business. And finally, for entrepreneurs who are starting businesses and building companies, we want them to stay here in Massachusetts. A 4% long-term capital gains rate provides an incentive for entrepreneurs to stay here and build their businesses here rather than moving to North Carolina or to Texas or to Florida. That's my 444 plan. It will get our private sector firing on all cylinders again.
Sure. Now, obviously, well, let me ask you this, Brian. So I'm listening to this. Say I was a middle-class homeowner in Worcester or Framingham, and these changes that you're proposing, what's going to happen for me? Middle-class homeowner in the Metro West Worcester area, what does that mean to me? Explain that. Instead of a business owner, what does it mean for the homeowner?
Yeah, for a middle-class homeowner, moving from 5% to 4% would save on average $1,400 a year. That's real money for groceries, for rent, for children, for healthcare. Stripping all of those state-mandated fees out of your electric and gas bills, which I will also do on day one when I am governor, would save another $1,300 to $1,400. So in the aggregate, these plans to cut fees and cut taxes would return thousands of dollars to middle-class families. We know they're hurting, Joe. You hear it every day. I hear it every day. I meet families that sit around the table at the end of the month and decide which bill they can't pay this month. It's time for immediate relief, and that's what I'm offering.
Now, comes the question, right? Every taxpayer is going to ask a politician when they say, hey, I'm going to promise you these tax cuts. How do we pay for it? How much does this represent coming out of the revenue to the Commonwealth, and how do we address it, and where are the cuts going to be? How do we pay for it?
Well, listen, I've done it before. Over a decade ago, when the MBTA faced a massive financial crisis, Governor Baker didn't call a politician. He called me, a Marine, a turnaround specialist, a businessman. We faced a $300 million deficit. We audited every department. We audited every contract. We audited overtime. We audited the cell phone bill. We found millions of dollars in waste. So when I am governor, I will do the same thing. I will audit every single line item in state government. State government spending, Joe, is completely out of control. We've lost 100,000 taxpayers in the last 5 years in Massachusetts, but our state government has grown by 60%. So day one, I begin those audits, and I can assure you, based on my own lived experience, that I will find millions and millions of dollars of savings. The other critical thing to understand is that tax cuts will grow our economy long term. And as they grow the economy, they will generate more revenue. Massachusetts, under Governor Healey, is now dead last nationally, 50th out of 50 in private sector job growth. We've lost 30,000 jobs in the last 3 years. We should have added about 100,000. And if we had added 100,000, got to be about $1 billion more in taxes. So long term, to grow the tax base, Joe, you've got to grow the private sector. I've been in the private sector all my life, building companies, helping them grow, helping them thrive, software, technology companies. If we do that in Massachusetts, they'll stay and will generate a lot more revenue than we will if companies continue to leave.
Yeah. Let's turn to Maura Healey for a second, Brian. You've been extremely critical of this administration. And if I give you only 3 items, what are the 3 biggest failures of the Healey administration that make the case for replacing her with you?
Well, let me start with the first issue I hear about every time I meet with middle-class families or small businesses. And it's the cost of electricity. We now have the highest electricity rates in the entire continental United States. And if you look at your Eversource bill or your National Grid bill, 1/3 of your bill are now state-mandated fees. There are 12 fees in that bill. And let's call them what they are. They are taxes to fund Maura Healey's climate agenda. When I'm governor, we will strip all of those fees out of your electricity bill. We don't have the highest electricity rates in the country by mistake. We have them because of very bad public policy coming from Maura Healey. She also killed 2 natural gas pipelines that, if they were in place today, would be providing cheap, reliable, clean natural gas to families across Worcester in Middlesex County. When I'm governor, we will build those pipelines. The cheapest natural gas in the entire world is in the Marcellus Shale in Pennsylvania. That's only about 300 miles from where you and I are sitting right now. We got to build those pipelines, bring natural gas in, and we need in Massachusetts to have energy policies that put affordability first. Everybody wants a clean environment and clean air. Believe me, I do too. But we have to do that without bankrupting businesses and driving families out of the state.
Yeah. You know, governors, right, don't get graded on identifying the problems, and you're doing a great job of that. Let's pick the biggest one. What does Governor Shortsleeve do in the first 100 days that isn't going on with the Healey administration?
Well, Governor Healey has been a vocal opponent of reducing taxes. There was a ballot question on the ballot to reduce the tax rate from 5% to 4%. Joe, it was wildly popular. It was popular with independents. It was popular with Republicans. It was popular with Democrats. That was knocked off the ballot by Andrea Campbell, which was a complete debacle. That ballot question should be on the ballot, and if it was on the ballot, it would pass. Maura Healey has said she does not believe that cutting taxes will make Massachusetts more affordable for working families. That's insane. Of course it will make Massachusetts more affordable. So I've put that ballot question back on the ballot for 2028, and when I am governor, I will fight to roll back your taxes. Maura Healey believes that higher taxes make Massachusetts more affordable. I believe the opposite. I believe we should cut taxes and cut fees. Those are things a governor can do. As you mentioned, I served as an officer in the Marine Corps. In the Marine Corps, one thing they teach you about leadership is you have to have a bias for action. Leadership means putting the mission first and never backing down from a tough fight. My mission is to make Massachusetts more affordable. We know how to do it. We just need a leader that will take bold action. I'll do that, and I'm ready to go.
Got it. Yeah, I got to move to immigration here for a second, Brian. It has been central to your campaign, or at least from what I've seen. You've argued that Massachusetts taxpayers have spent enormous amounts dealing with the migrant and shelter crisis. So what specifically changes under Governor Shortsleeve? Who qualifies for taxpayer-funded shelter and benefits, and who doesn't?
Well, listen, when I'm governor, homeless veterans will have priority for the right to law. They'll have priority for the home-based program, which are free apartment programs that were designed for the most vulnerable among us, for young mothers with children who need temporary housing, for low-income seniors. Those programs were not designed to absorb thousands and thousands of migrant families. But under Maura Healey, starting in 2023, this state has spent close to $3 billion on the migrant shelters. Maura Healey's now spending $100 million a year giving free apartment rental vouchers to migrants. And I would argue to you that she has her priorities backwards. I was out in West Brookfield about a month ago meeting with the leadership of a small school in West Brookfield, which is closing because that town does not have $500,000 in its budget to keep a school open. That's 250 kids, which are going to be sent now to a different school. Yet at the same time, at the state level, Maura Healey is spending billions and billions of dollars on those migrant programs. To put it in perspective for your listeners, if you looked across the complete spend there of the migrant shelters, the home-based program, the cost of schools, the cost of mass health over 4 years, it's probably close to $5 billion now. You could give every city and town in this state $15 million in unrestricted local aid for what Maura Healey has spent on the migrant program. And if you gave every city and town in the state $15 million in unrestricted local aid, you wouldn't see Proposition 2.5 overrides happening. You wouldn't see the school in West Brookfield closing. I was in New Bedford at fire station number 9 about 3 weeks ago. That's a fire station in New Bedford, which is closing over a $1.5 million budget shortfall. So it's about priority. Massachusetts does not have a revenue problem under Maura Healey. We have a priorities problem. We need to prioritize Massachusetts families. We need to prioritize small businesses. We need to make sure that programs like the home-based program and the right to shelter law are used for Massachusetts residents who are U.S. citizens, and that homeless veterans get priority. That's what I'll do as governor.
Listen, I got to ask about ICE, basically. Governor Healey, right, has made her opposition to a number of ICE tactics very clear. You've taken a very different position here. Forget the campaign slogans for a second, Brian. What exactly would cooperation between Massachusetts and ICE look like under Governor Brian Shortsleeve? And this is a real issue for me too, Brian, because these ICE agents aren't community policing officers. They're federal agents. And the fact that Massachusetts, under Healey, has taken this sanctuary city, and Mayor Wu for that matter, when we don't get to pick and choose what laws we follow, and these are federal officers. Again, these aren't the windbreaker wearing community police officers going out there. These are very well-trained, highly trained federal officers. We don't see this, a governor saying, or Governor Healey saying, hey, we want the FBI office out of Boston, and we're not going to deal. I'm not going to allow the state police or the DA's office to work with the Federal Bureau of Investigation because I don't like them or it's good for my base. So this is a real issue for me with this, anti-ICE, and we're not going to cooperate. What would the cooperation look like with Governor Shortsleeve?
Well, listen, Joe, the safest place in the world to transfer a criminal alien into federal custody is in a courthouse. Yep. It's the safest place to do it. Yet Maura Healey just signed a law called the PROTECT Act that prohibits state and local authorities from transferring criminal aliens into federal custody in courthouses. That's a bad law, Joe. That will make our streets less safe. Look, I want ICE off the street, but Maura Healey's policies are pushing ICE onto the street because her administration and the new law she just signed prohibits any cooperation between state and local law enforcement and the federal government. It also mandates sanctuary state policies across the state. There are many communities that do not want sanctuary state policies. This law prohibits them from exercising their own right to keep their streets safe. And it sends a message to criminal illegal aliens that they are safe in Massachusetts. When I'm governor, I will focus on public safety as my number one priority. And when I look at a law, I will ask myself, does this make the state less safe or more safe?
And I'm sorry, go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, prohibiting state and local government from cooperating with the federal authorities in courthouses makes the state less safe.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't mean this to be a rapid fire stuff, but let me move over to SNAP and public benefit fraud, because there's a lot of it, right? We actually have numbers from the state auditors, investigators. In the first half of fiscal 26, Bureau of Special Investigations, which I almost went to work for many years ago, identified about $4.49 million in fraud-related public benefit overpayments. That's roughly 2.48 million of it involving SNAP. Is Massachusetts, are we doing enough to police this public benefit fraud? Those figures come directly from the Bureau of Special Investigations. I'm not making this stuff up. It's in black and white here.
Look, Massachusetts is now spending more on SNAP than any other state in New England. And it's because Maura Healey has failed to put basic protections in place. We know there is rampant SNAP fraud. Leah Foley, who is the U.S. attorney, has now exposed 4 different fraud rings related to SNAP and EBT cards. The first of those, I visited the store, Joe. It's on Blue Hill Ave in Mattapan. Let me paint the picture for you and your listeners. This is a small bodega that was running $600,000 a month in EBT cards through its doors. That amount of SNAP payment is equal to what you would expect from a Walmart store. It was about 10 times the size. This small bodega was 150 square feet, which is quite small, single cash register, no shopping carts, no hand baskets, no refrigerators, no freezers, and a little bit of food on the shelf. It clearly was fraudulent. Yet under Maura Healey's administration, we are not doing any verification of those retailers. When I am governor, we will do a one-time front-end verification of identification of all participants in the SNAP program. Are you who you say you are? Are you eligible for the program? We will also recertify all of those retailers, convenience stores, bodegas that participate in the program. Those are basic steps that you take to prevent fraud. They're basic steps. But one thing I learned in state government, Joe, is I'm the only guy in this race who's ever audited state government. I did it a decade ago. We found millions of dollars in waste and fraud. But something I learned is if you don't look for fraud, you won't find it. If you look for it, you will find it. Maura Healey's not looking for it.
Right.
I will, and I assure you, you will find millions and millions of dollars in SNAP. Maura Healey has not referred a single case of fraud to the federal government, not one. Yeah. Andrea Campbell has not launched a single lawsuit or a single prosecution on public benefit fraud, yet it's rampant. And every time the federal government steps in, they find another example. We need a new governor.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I'm going to date myself here, Brian, but it makes it reminiscent. I remember the Joe Malone days when he went into the treasurer's office. It was absolutely it was just incredible what he found for the perks and the waste there. And I'm thinking you'd come across the same thing. But just one more thing on this SNAP stuff and these benefits. And I'm all for this. Aggressively catch fraud. Yes, audit and look at all these stores that get to process it. I mean, the lottery has to do it when there's abuse there. I also look at this and I'm like, where's the IRS on this? I mean, $600,000 a month through 150 square feet. So even if it's a 50 cents on the dollar return, which I know happens, I've watched it in Worcester happen in front of me. They go in, they run the card, they get the 50 cents of the face value that they charge the state, and they leave with cash, no groceries. But how do we aggressively catch the fraud? Well, a legitimate, elderly persons, disabled residents, struggling families, are they going to have to jump through these unnecessary hoops? Or are they going to get, will their SNAP benefits get, suspended or temporarily? How do we, the legitimate people, and if you're on SNAP, you need that, Brian. How do we protect the legitimate people?
Well, listen, let's never forget that when fraudsters steal money from SNAP and EBT, they are stealing taxpayer money, but they're also taking it away from the people who need it. SNAP's an important program. It exists to help the most vulnerable among us, seniors on low income, the disabled, young mothers with children. Those are critical programs as the groups that we have to protect. But when we see millions of dollars being stolen from those programs, that is money that should be going back to the people who need it. And there's a reason we have those programs. We are a compassionate state. We care about helping the most vulnerable. But part of helping the most vulnerable means these programs have to have integrity. So when I'm governor, I will set up in each of these programs an office of program integrity, in which we will be identifying and verifying all of the people that are eligible for the program to make sure they're the right people. And the same thing on the backside, making sure the retailers are all legitimate retailers. Because at the end of the day, we're protecting the recipients who deserve it, and we're also protecting taxpayers. We owe it. We owe it to the most vulnerable among us, and we also owe it to taxpayers to make sure every dollar is being used in the right way.
Sure. I want to remind our listeners, we're speaking with Brian Shortsleeve, Republican candidate for governor. Election is the first Tuesday. And Brian, I've got to confront the political reality here. Your opponent in the primary, Mike, he beat you at the Republican convention. We've got the newest UMass Amherst WCVP poll. Has him ahead 53 to 26 among likely Republican primary voters. We're days from the primary. Why aren't Republican voters buying what you're selling here? Because it sounds great. The 53-26 figure comes from the August 5th to 12th UMass. What do you tell them there? And I know that you've talked about in a general election, the polls say you're more likely to beat Maura Healey than Mike would. But we have to address this, right? Our listeners are wondering about these polls and these numbers. And I know the only poll that counts is Tuesday.
Yeah. I mean, the poll you're talking about was 200 voters, very small sample. It was before we went up on television. I think this race is wide open. I am out every day. Today I'm in Middlesex County, Worcester County, then heading out to Springfield. I am meeting voters that want change. Mike Minogue has refused to debate. He will not take tough questions. He will not engage with the media. Our voters want to hear from us. So when I'm out there traveling around the state, walking through my background, I've spent my life in small business. Mike ran a massive healthcare corporation. His experience is big business. I'm running the most transparent race out there. I'm willing to talk. I'm willing to take tough questions. He doesn't want to take those tough questions. I know there's a great desire out there for change. And one thing I will remind you is that 67% of voters in Massachusetts are independents. And in the Republican primary, 2/3 of the voters are independents. Those voters want to be heard. Those voters want a voice.
Yeah.
And that's why we have a primary. We don't choose a nominee in this state through the state party. We choose it through a primary. And we're getting a great response. I'm confident we're going to win on Tuesday. And I'm confident that we can beat Maura Healey. I'll tell you this as well. I am the pro-choice Republican in this race. I am the type of Republican who can win statewide. Mike Minogue will not win a statewide election. If he is our nominee, this election will be about Trump and abortion. We will lose. If I'm the nominee, this election will be about electricity bills, Maura Healey's failed record, and we will win.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, in those polls, 40% were actually undecided. I mean, that's a lot of voters, even in the sample polling, Brian.
I see it every day. I mean, I see it every day. I meet voters that tell me my ballot is sitting on my kitchen table. And boy, I'd love to hear from you. I also meet voters every day that say, why haven't we had any debates? Because if we had had 6 televised debates, as I had proposed,
1 minute,
independent voters would have been able to hear from us.
Yeah.
But they haven't heard enough from us. That's why I'm traveling all over the state. And I feel it's 40 to 50% undecided. Most people are going to vote in person on Tuesday, and we're going to win this thing.
All right. Well, that's pretty much, I mean, we're against the clock here, Brian. Real quick, where can people go? What's the website? How can they contact the campaign, find your position papers and all that?
30 seconds.
Please check us out at brianshortsleeve.com or on Facebook at Brian Shortsleeve for Massachusetts. I'm asking for your vote. Republicans and independents can vote. Election is Tuesday. You can vote early or you can vote by mail. But if you're not voting by mail, get out there and vote Tuesday. Thanks so much.
All right, Brian. Thank you so much. I appreciate you stopping by here. All right, folks. That's actually going to wrap it up for us here. So have a fantastic weekend. Back next Wednesday morning at 11 o'clock. Take care, folks. Joe out.
You're listening to WCRN, Worcester.